This is a call to all Kenyan leaders and citizens to resist division ahead of the 2027 elections. We have called this presser today out of a deep collective concern for the soul and stability of our nation. As we approach the 2027 general elections, we are witnessing a terrifyingly familiar script being replayed by our political class. We are here to sound the alarm. Kenyan leaders are actively choreographing the exact same toxic rhetoric that plunged this country into the darkest and most violent chapter of our history in 2007. To our political leaders, we issue a stern and unpromising warning. Stop playing with the wellness, the well-being of our beloved motherland.
Our rallying calls and concerns are as follows. The first one is our concern for the choreography of militia panic. We are deeply concerned by the increasing circulation of inflammatory statements at political rallies alleging the existence of organized Nandi warriors prepared to defend or attack political interests. We condemn these claims in the strongest terms possible. We state clearly and categorically that these allegations are false, irresponsible, and dangerous. There is no organized group known as Nandi warriors mobilized for political violence. Such claims are fabricated narratives that serve only to create fear, suspicion, and ethnic tensions among Kenyans. History reminds us that similar accusations and ethnic stereotypes featured prominently during the period leading up to the 2007 general election. Communities were falsely portrayed as having organized ethnic militias. These narratives were repeated so often that many came to accept them as fact. The consequences were devastating. Mistrust deepened, innocent Kenyan citizens were profiled on the basis of their ethnicity. And Kenya descended into one of the darkest chapters in its history. The Kalenjin community, like every other Kenyan community, paid a heavy price. Many innocent people suffered, lost loved ones, and were displaced from their homes or continue to bear the emotional, economic scars of that tragic period. We therefore reject any attempt to revive the same false narratives that contributed to division and violence. We recall that during the 2007-2008 crisis, allegations were made that political leaders from the region had organized the Kalenjin community to carry out violence. While these allegations became part of the public discourse, many members of the community knew that sweeping claims portraying an entire people as participants in organized violence were misleading and deeply harmful. Today, we are disturbed to hear similar narratives resurfacing under the label of Nandi warriors. We refuse to allow falsehood to once again define an entire community or to be used as political tools to inflame public tension. Our second concern is the narrative of stealing election and predictive violence based on that. We are deeply alarmed by the reckless inflammatory statements made by the DCP leader who declared that any electoral malpractice by IEBC in 2027 election could trigger chaos to so severe that the 2007 post-election violence could appear to have been a Christmas party. He was quoted to having said so. Such language is irresponsible, dangerous, and wholly unacceptable. It recklessly trivializes one of the darkest chapters in our nation's history. This was a tragedy that claimed more than 1,000 lives, displaced hundreds of thousands of innocent Kenyans, tore apart communities and inflicted devastating economic losses from which many families and businesses never fully recovered. The statement is particularly disturbing because it echoes the destructive rhetoric that preceded the 2007 post-election violence. During that period, sections of political leadership repeatedly convinced their supporters that the only possible explanation for an electoral defeat could be state-sponsored rigging, by conditioning citizens to believe that losing was impossible unless the election had been stolen. They laid the psychological foundation for widespread rejection of official results and the violence that followed. History must never be weaponized as a political threat. It is therefore irresponsible for any leader to invoke the horrors of 2007 as leverage in contemporary political competition. Democratic societies resolve electoral disputes through lawful institutions, transparent processes, and the courts. It can never be and should never be done through threats of violence or suggestions that bloodshed is an acceptable political consequence. We therefore condemn these remarks in the strongest terms possible. No political ambitions, no matter how significant, can justify language that normalizes violence, intimidates electoral institutions, or instills fear among Kenyans. Leaders have a constitutional and moral obligation to inspire confidence in peaceful democratic participation, not to prepare the public psychologically for conflict. We call upon all political leaders, regardless of party affiliation, to reject inflammatory rhetoric, exercise restraint in their public pronouncements, and commit themselves unequivocally to peaceful, lawful, and democratic election. The painful lessons of 2007 should serve as a permanent warning and should never be used as a political talking point or a tool for mobilizing supporters through fear. The third concern is traitors and outsiders prevailing. In 2027, currently, we are here to flag the ongoing political campaigns targeting Mount Kenya region, where local member of parliaments, cabinet ministers, cabinet members, and regional leaders supporting the current administration are publicly profiled as traitors and enemies of Mount Kenya. This is the exact same language of 2007, when the country was divided into 41 tribes against one. Whole communities and dissenting leaders were branded as outsiders or traitors to the collective ethnic cause, making them immediate targets for eviction and violence. The fourth concern is we are here to condemn self-serving political solidarity over national safety. We are deeply alarmed by the growing culture of political impunity, where influential leaders appear willing to shield individuals accused of inflammatory or divisive rhetoric in order to preserve political alliance or ethnic support bases. Kenya cannot afford a return to the dangerous precedent where accountability depends on political affiliation. The recent arrest of Honorable Kakuchia for making highly divisive and dangerous statements has reignited this concern. While law enforcement has a duty to investigate allegations that may threaten public peace, it is equally important that the legal processes be allowed to proceed independently and without political interference. We are therefore concerned by the public statements from political leaders that appear to criticize the arrest before the judicial process had run its course. We witnessed the ultimate display of self-serving politics when Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka chose to defend him and condemn the arrest. This is the height of political hypocrisy. When leading politicians rush to defend warmongers under the guise of political solidarity, they prove that they value their narrow, self-serving alliances far more than the lives of ordinary Kenyans. This blind protection of inciters directly mirrors how 2007 politicians normalized lawlessness by shielding ethnic instigators from judicial accountability, directly leading to full-scale national catastrophe. We demand that political leaders stop validating hate speech for votes. We therefore call upon all political parties and their leaders to demonstrate principled leadership by rejecting hate speech, incitement, regardless of who is responsible. No politician should receive political protection from lawful investigations simply because they belong to a particular party, coalition, or ethnic constituency. The law must apply equally to every Kenyan. Accountability cannot be selective. Justice cannot be partisan. If we are to avoid repeating the mistakes of our past, every leader must place the peace, security, and unity of our nation above short-term political interest and electoral calculation.
A call to fellow Kenyan citizens across all communities in Kenya. To our fellow Kenyans from every tribe, county, and walk of life, the power to stop this repeating cycle rests entirely in your hands. We must refuse to be used as political fodder. When a politician tells you that your neighbor from a different community is your enemy, look at your shared struggle and experiences. We use the same roads, schools, health facilities, among other things. We experience the same struggle, such as high cost of living, taxation, unemployment, crime, among others. These experiences and struggle do not choose a tribe. We call upon all Kenyans to fiercely resist this divisive rhetoric. Do not cheer for leaders who preach hate. Do not share their toxic clips on social media. Isolate them, reject them, and vote them down. Let us stand united as one people and declare with one voice, never again will we shed Kenyan blood for a politician's ambition. All Kenyans to reject messages designed to divide us along ethnic lines and instead safeguard the peace that generations have worked hard to build. Kenyans belongs to all of us. No political ambition is worth the loss of innocent lives or the destruction of national unity. We must not allow fabricated stories, ethnic stereotypes, or inflammatory rhetoric to track our nation back towards the painful experiences of 2007-2008. Let us learn from our history, reject the politics of fear, and choose the path of truth, peace, justice, and national cohesion. Number 2, a call to action to Directorate of Criminal Investigation. The law must apply equally to all, regardless of political rank or tribal standing. We demand the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, DCI, cease its selective enforcement and immediately arrest and prosecute the following instigators of hate. Arrest the authors of the Nandi warriors myth. The DCI must identify, track down, and arrest the politicians and online influencers actively fabricating the existence of a mobilized Nandi warriors militia force before this dangerous lies sparks real-world defensive ethnic arming. Investigate Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka for aiding impunity. We call on the DCI to question Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka for his public statement that attempts to obstruct justice, undermines the work of security agencies, and validate hate speech by defending arrested instigators. Fast-track files on high-ranking inciters. The DCI must immediately forward the criminal investigation files of top government and opposition figures currently flagged by NCIC for immediate trial. No politician is above the law. Number 3, demand to the Media Council of Kenya. The mainstream media must refuse to be megaphone that broadcast our country into flames, as radio station did in 2007. We issued the following specific demands to the Media Council of Kenya under the Media Councils Act. Enforce mandatory broadcast delay. We demand that MCK compel all television and radio stations to implement a mandatory 7 to 10 seconds electronic audio or visual delay on all live political broadcasts and rallies to instantly cut off hate speech before it reaches the public. Number 2, sanction stations offering unfiltered platform. MCK must immediately withdraw the accreditation and issue heavy financial penalties against any media house that allows politicians to spew unedited ethnic slurs, profile other communities, or claim the existence of fake tribal militias on live air. Number 3, establish a 24/7 live monitoring dashboard. The Council must immediately set up a joint real-time monitoring unit with Communication Authority of Kenya to track local and vernacular radio stations which historically serve as hotbeds for localized ethnic incitement. Number 4, all talk show hosts accountable. Media houses must vet and strictly hold accountable anchors and talk show hosts who fail to switch off microphone or challenge politicians who make inflammatory statements and unverified claims like the Nandi Warriors fabrication during live shows.